Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. If you are joining us live on Facebook, thank you so much. Hope you're having a good week. We're exactly halfway through, which is exciting or not, depending on how your week is going. But we are here to chat a little bit about She Kills Monsters, but also to learn a little bit more about the lovely Libby Williams. So, Libby, thank you so much for taking the time and being here. I appreciate it.
Oh, of course. Anytime.
So, Libby, I'm going to start out like I do all of the other interviews. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I am an alum of University of Alabama, Roll Tide. You have to say that. It's
Roll
legally.
Tide.
Yes, okay. I got my degree in theater and digital art. So, both great, useful degrees. And I just finished a year-long acting apprenticeship with Horizon Theater, which is in Little Five Points. And the day job is teaching acting when the world is on fire. But, the world's kind of on fire. So.
Unfortunately, yeah. So can you tell me a little bit more about the teaching stuff that you do? I think that's like super fascinating and really important, to be able to teach the next generation of artists as well as patrons of the arts, just kind of the tricks of the trade and appreciation for the art form. What got you into that?
Yeah, so can you hear my puppies upstairs? They're going crazy.
Aww.
Yeah, I work for a company called Building Character, and it's really cool because when I was growing up, I got to take classes and camp with this company. And what I really like about them and why I'm so proud to work for them is we're not really focusing on like making Broadway actors. We're focusing on building life skills through the theater. So many people take acting classes when they're little and then they move on and they go do other things in their life. But those acting classes were so important in teaching them confidence and stage presence and helped them with school presentations and public speaking and meeting new people and really giving kids permission to be silly without worrying about what others think about them. So I'm really thankful to get to teach the next generation that on top of acting and giving them wisdom, but really it's important for me to be able to give kids what theater and acting has given me.
I love that, and thank you for doing that. We so appreciate that nurturing that you're giving the next generation. So it is very important. So you can you tell me a little bit about some other productions that you've been in? I know there's one for sure that our audience will have seen you in prior to She Kills Monsters. But what other things have you done?
Yes. So last year, right around this time, I was in Puffs, and I played Hannah in maybe about 10 other characters in that show. It was a busy track for me. Before that, most of my credits are in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I did a lot of Shakespeare out there, and I've done a lot of classical comedic work. My first show at the University of Alabama was She Kills Monsters.
What?
Yeah. I was playing Evil Tina, but it was a really important show for me because when I graduated high school, I was like, I'm not doing theater. I'm going to go get a real person job. I'm going to be a computer programmer. And I got to Alabama, and it was 2 months in, and my roommate was like, hey, they're doing She Kills Monsters. Would you like to come audition? And bam, I was sucked right back in.
Right? Sucked in for life. There you go.
Yeah.
I did not know that you did She Kills Monsters previously. That is really cool.
Yeah, round 2. I'm excited. It's so different.
Yeah, no, I mean, for 2 different characters, like you learn the world of the show and like, you know, just know more about like the lessons and everything that the playwright wants you to take away in such a different way, just kind of based on how you're doing your homework for understanding those characters.
Yeah, the last time I was in the show, I was the villain, and you know, learning to empathize with a villain and why they do the things they do is difficult. But coming from the other side now, I understand those characters better and what they're doing, and I can see their motivations and react better, I think.
Yeah. So is theater something that you always knew you wanted to do from at a very young age?
I don't know. I have this one really vivid memory of when I was really little. My grandparents used to take me to South Alabama basketball games, and they would put me in the little cheerleader costumes, and I would stand up and do the cheer routines with them, you know, pretend. And I remember one time I got on the big screen, and like that was the most adrenaline that had ever rushed through my like 4-year-old body, and I was like, this is good. I want to do this. But I don't know. I also went through the like, I want to be a marine biologist phase, but I think every kid goes through that. But I wanted to do other things, but I could never escape. I always kept being pulled back in.
Yeah, which I mean is very telling of your first, you said what, your first 2 weeks you said into college, and then that's when you got pulled
Yeah,
back in?
yeah. I was a computer science major for an entire year. I made it a year before I dropped that, and my parents were very sad.
Awesome. Oh my goodness. Well, yeah, we're glad that you're doing the theater thing, because I mean, you rock it.
Oh, thank you. Go on. No, stop.
So I'm very excited for people to get to see you in a different way in this show. So let's switch gears a little bit, and can you tell me about the character that you play in She Kills Monsters?
Yeah, I play Agnes Evans. She is 25 and a teacher, and as the script says, she is painfully average in every single way, and she has suffered a great loss in her life, and she doesn't really know how to process it. I don't think anybody ever knows how to process grief, so this is really her journey to go through the phases of grief and finally come to acceptance, and she gets to do it in this really fun way to handle grief through a D&D campaign.
Now, do you have a lot of experience with D&D, or are you kind of like the character and not really having a ton of knowledge?
No, I played a lot in college, so I've been around. I've done a campaign or two.
Yes, it's not your first time on the board.
This is not my first rodeo.
Rodeo.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. So how do you balance then, you know, having that, you know, extensive, you know, knowledge and experience with the game versus playing a character who's essentially a novice?
Well, I mean, I think it's both in half of like, I remember my first time playing D&D, I remember being like, oh, what is this? I think there's like a really sharp learning curve when you first start playing D&D, because you start playing and you're like, I don't know what to do, I don't know what the rules are, and then you get to this point where you very quickly learn like, oh, there are no rules, I can do whatever I want. So I remember the first time playing and being very hesitant, and I mean there are things that I feel like I'm Agnes in. Like if I'm watching any sport, I am Agnes. So it's both of those things. Yeah, we're all Agnes in our life sometimes.
There's a bit of Agnes within all of us.
Yes.
but then we also learn, how to conquer that, and how to feel super empowered, which is one of the things that I absolutely love about this script. Is it is so empowering for women, and shows, it gives us, so many strong female characters. Can you talk a little bit about that, and just kind of your experience with that so far in this rehearsal process?
Yeah. Growing up as like a nerd and in the nerd world, I think women are portrayed in a certain way in video games and comic books and all yada yada yada. And this play does a really good job of being like, yes, this is what women look like in video games. They're in these silly, small, not enough clothing outfits, but like this show makes it empowering, and it's like, yeah, we are, here are the ladies. And then you hand them a sword and they kick butt. It's just, it is really empowering. It takes everything, like all of the tropes and cliches of women in pop culture, and kind of is like, yes, and we can still look cool and awesome and be powerful and emotionally intelligent while doing it.
And snaps to that. We absolutely love that. You talked a little bit about it, with swords. So there is a bit of some stage combat and some fighting sequences throughout the
Yes.
show. I guess my first question for you is, what experience do you have with that? I imagine, you have some with your previous production of She Kills Monsters, and then some with some Shakespeare. But yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit about your experience, and just kind of what we can expect with some of these like fight sequences in this production.
Yeah. I was very lucky in college to get to do a lot of stage combat. Yes, She Kills was like the first time I'd ever done it in a show. But then I got with this Shakespeare troupe in Tuscaloosa, and we had some great teachers. But like, doing stage combat for the first time is terrifying for most people. I think it goes back to how you played as a kid, like what your imagination safe space was. And mine certainly was not like soldiers and pirates. So I never fake sword played as a kid. And like, you can tell when someone has, and you put a sword in their hand and you're like, now you're going to do it with a real sword. They're so comfortable. But like the first time I did it, I was like, oh no. So it is really daunting. And the first time I did stage combat, I was very, very, very scared, and I was very worried that I looked silly, which yes, you do. But I've gotten super comfortable with it over the years. I've done the Scottish play a couple times. We've done Romeo and Juliet. So I love doing it now, and I've gotten to help choreograph some of the fights under Zach, our fearless leader, and they are pretty epic. We are not backing down. There's a fight pretty much every 5 minutes in this show. And I know for a couple people in the cast, it is their first time doing stage combat, but everybody's kind of taken it to like fish to water. Is that the phrase?
Yeah, fish to water with a sword.
Yes, fish to swords. We're a whole bunch of fish with swords in our hands, and it's really exciting.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of these really cool, and we had talked about it before going live, how your pun always intended, slaying and killing it with these fight sequences. I'm allowed to say it. Zach is not. Yeah. He cannot take credit for those puns. So sorry, Zach. But also, well, one thing that I heard prior to rehearsal starting yesterday is something similar to Puffs is there's a lot of 90s pop culture references throughout the show.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that same time period, that same like sweet spot. Um, there are a lot of name drops. There's some mention of some leg warmers and some Smashing Pumpkins. So yeah, 90s fans, look out. We're coming to you.
Right? And y'all get to dance. I don't know how the dance is incorporated into the show, but I'm really excited.
Yes. This Thursday is actually our big dance rehearsal. So I'm looking forward to it as well. Hopefully you get to Macarena. That's all I want.
So electric slide a little bit.
Oh yeah. Maybe I'll get to do the worm. I don't know yet. Emily Haynes is our fearless leader on that one. So yes, I'm excited. She did the choreography and puffs as well.
Yes, I was told that there would be at least some ponying going on.
Good. Yes.
So be prepared for a pony. Libby, can you tell me a little bit about why this show resonates with you, and kind of your takeaways from it, particularly from the lens of your character?
Yeah. Well, I think my biggest takeaway is that you never know what's going to happen in this life. So when we have relationships with people, we need to be present, and we should always take the time. It's easy to meet someone, or it's easy to not want to take the time to walk in someone else's shoes. It's so easy to do that. You meet somebody who's very different or lives a very different life than you, and you can just shut down and be like, well, I don't need to take the time to understand them. But this show really shows you that it's always worth the time. It is always worth the time, and you will regret it if you don't. And I think that's always an important message. In 2020, it's an important message that, people can be very different than us, but there's always something in common, and it is always worth finding that. And I think that's what Agnes realizes at the end. And she's lucky that she gets to experience some sort of connection with her little sister through this D&D game, but sometimes in the real world we don't. So I think it's a good reminder to be present and willing and open, and try and bridge the gaps between everyone in your life, if that made any sense.
Yeah, no, it made so much sense. I'm just like sitting here being like, oh my gosh, like I'm getting all the feels.
Oh, not the feels.
Which I know we are going to feel all of the feels during the show, because while it is very funny, it also gets pretty real too, which I think is a nice balance.
Yeah, we had a rehearsal last night. We've been having so much fun, and it's been goofy and silly and all of these jokes. And then rehearsal last night, we were doing the final scene, and we all went, oh, it's emotional all of a sudden. So yes, it sneaks up on you. It sneaks in there.
Well, good. Well, Libby, we are so excited, one, to have you back for this production, and two, for taking the time to be part of this interview. It was great to get to know you a little bit better as a person, as an artist, as well as to hear your take on the show and your character. So again, I want to say thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it, and I am so looking forward to enjoying the upcoming production of She Kills Monsters, which opens in like literally less than a month. I think like 30-ish days, maybe.
Oh, okay. Yes. No, I'm so thankful that y'all are out here trying to make art right now. So thankful. Yes, we need it, and it's a scary time to be an artist in this world, and it is so wonderful to get to make art right now. So thank you to y'all as well.
So now we all have the feel. So I think on that note, we can go out and venture off into the world and, you know, can continue with our day and with our week. But again, Libby, I want to say thank you. And to everyone who is watching or will be watching, please make sure to check out She Kills Monsters. We're going to be throwing some more information your way within the next few weeks about some different options for you to experience the show. So be on the lookout for that. We'll have all the details. But until then, like I always say, because I mean it, stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane, and we will see you soon. All right. Bye, everyone.